Hello, my loves, and welcome to Jennifer Open Book, where we don't believe in filters, and I mean Jennifer's Open Book. Like I don't know the name of my show. Hi, you guys. We are talking today about being visually impaired and blind parents. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm moving my phone around. Um, I am being joined today by Miss Marcia from Simply Marcia.
That's right.
And before we get to our topic, you guys, if you haven't already done it, hit your subscribe button, hit your like button, share this video, comment, let me know what you like or what you don't like about the video, and go check out some of my other videos. And I appreciate all of the love you guys give me and all of the support. That being said, hey, Marcia.
Hi, Jennifer. How are you?
Good. I always enjoy talking to you. And I want you guys to know that we have been talking probably for like a half an hour before we even got one here. We always call each other and think we're going to talk for 2 minutes and then just start talking and can't stop. So, Marcia is a parent, a blind parent of four. You have four kids, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And I have one little girl, for those of you who don't know. So, just to start off, I was not, well, I was sort of prepared because I babysat and I had stepchildren for a little while, but I wasn't as prepared as I thought I was when I became a mother. Like, how have you managed? How have you managed?
Um, you gotta juggle. Now when I was just a stay-at-home mom, it was much easier. But once I became a working mom, it was serious time management. Serious. Like this day you gotta wash clothes. This day you gotta get everybody's stuff straight for the whole week. Every night everybody got to eat dinner by a certain time, bath by a certain time, in bed by a certain time so they can get up fully rested for school and function all day at full capacity. So it was serious time management.
And
So
you have four. I have one child and I'd be so tired by the end of the day. I'd be like, oh my goodness, I just want to go to bed. Like some people be like, okay, that's my time after my kids go to bed. That's mommy's time. Mommy's time after my kid go to bed is mommy taking a bath and going to bed.
much, much, because that's typically how it would be. Like they go to bed at 9, I go to bed at 10. So from 9 to 10 time, but it really wasn't because it was like we want to wind down so I can go to sleep. So um, it's a full parenting is a full time job. You know, whether you're a single dad, single mom, or you have both parents in the same household, it's just a full time job.
So I'm a stay at home mom. God bless you for working and being a mom at the same time. There are so many women who work, go to school, and are single mothers, and I really applaud them for being able to do that because just being, like I said, being a stay-at-home mom is not that easy. So let me ask you this: did you have any like problems when they were a baby? Did you have help when they were babies?
Um, I did and I didn't. So like I live by myself. Um, and I pretty much I'm talking my first child. I took care of him as a single mom. Um, maybe until maybe he was like 8 years old, I think 7 or 8 before I actually had a companion. So, like my mom or my dad would come by if I needed anything or I needed assistance with anything. But for the most part, I did it by myself, you know. So, and I mean, even after having a companion, I mean, you know, they're in their own world and they only step in when you actually need them. You know,
Hmm.
he allows me to be, he treats me like I'm sighted, even though I'm not sighted. So, therefore, no help is no assistance is given unless I need it. If you get what I'm saying.
Right, right. And that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Right. So you can just imagine, you basically just doing everything normally, and they're around there doing what they do, watching TV or sleeping or whatever. But I mean, now when I was a stay-at-home mom, the good thing that I really liked about that part is I was able to put in overtime with my boys, really learning a lot of things at a very early age. So like
Hmm.
say with my second son, by the age of 3 or 4, he was spelling words like alligator, crocodile, urchin. It was this little game, and it had the
Wow.
alphabet, but it was all with animals instead of like
Hmm.
apple and ball, cat. Instead of simple words like that, it was really hard words. And I remember the teacher coming over, and I was showing her. I was like, "Look what he can spell," and she was like, "This time." Just drilling that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because the
Hmm.
game would talk, which meant I could hear what it was spelling or saying to him or whatever, and he really grasped it. So with the girls, it's a little different. Well, with my baby girl, it's a little different because um, I didn't get that long one-on-one time with her because of work.
Right. I did that with my daughter. I pretty much was winging everything, but I knew I wanted her to learn for
Mhm.
sure. And so
Right.
I bought books from Seedlings, Love Seedlings, and I would read to her all the time. And when she got probably about 7 months old, I got hip to Baby First TV. I
Uh-huh.
should have had her watching it before then. But so my daughter, she didn't start talking really until she was almost 3 years old. And when I say talking, I mean like using words that you could understand.
Right.
But and when I say that, I mean like she wasn't like asking for things or using like full sentences or anything like that. But she knew the alphabet before she was 2, from A
Right.
to Z. If you wrote it down, she knew the alphabet. And you can
Mhm.
write random letters and she'll tell you what they are. She could count to 10. And I'll never forget, she was counting backwards one day. I almost fell over in the grocery store because she was counting backwards and she was only 2 years old. And it's so amazing because everything that I bought her was educational. I'm really big
Mhm.
on education even now. All her toys, everything that she watches on television is educational. Now she's not as advanced as your son was, where she's like spelling big words like that and stuff, but she's reading and recognizing words now. She's 5, and when she started preschool earlier this year, her teacher said she's ready for kindergarten.
Right.
She's like, hey, I can't put her in kindergarten right now, but she's
Right.
ready for kindergarten. And my
Exactly.
goal now is to get her ready for first grade going into kindergarten.
I know that.
So
Right.
education was always very important to me, but it was a concern for me because
Mhm.
I couldn't see and I wasn't sure how I was going to educate this sighted child. So that's why I
Right.
bought the toys and I bought an iPad. I know a lot of people are not big on their children and like iPads and stuff like that. You have to
Uh-huh.
monitor what they watch. Everything that was on her iPad was Baby First TV, YouTube for Kids, and now ABC Miles. She had Noggin, all that different kind of stuff. And I took everything off that was not educational, was not for a
Right.
child. So I
That's
felt
right.
no guilt in her learning that way because
Right.
she learned some stuff. Like she'll say something to me, and I'll be like, "Where did you even learn that?" And got to come from that iPad. Like, how do you even? This girl explained something to me about, and I cannot remember, but she was talking to me about an animal, and she was telling me something that I didn't know, and I Googled it because I'm like,
Uh-huh.
she couldn't possibly know this, and I Googled it, and she was correct.
Right.
So I honestly would recommend to any blind parents educational toys, and don't be afraid to use the iPad, even if you have to limit your child's time on it.
Mm-hmm.
You have to. I don't, because she puts hers down whenever she gets ready to. She just puts it.
Right.
She's not on it all day, is what I'm saying. Like, I like it because she'll put it down and she'll go play. She'll go draw, play with her clay, stuff like that. So
Mhm.
I don't even bother with like timing her and stuff.
I remember with my oldest son, the iPad wasn't out back then, but it was a game system I bought him. I think it was called the V Smile, and it was like this joystick, and then he could play educational games on it or whatever, and that's how he was able to learn on another level other than me drilling stuff in his head, like writing words on paper and then making him feel it back to me or whatever like that. And I remember
Hmm.
actually laughing about this. I was like, yeah, I said, I remember calling you your spelling words. I said, and you was down there on the floor with a cheat sheet cheating. He was like, Mom, like, I did. He's like, but I don't understand how you knew that. I said, because I knew that you didn't know how to spell all those words.
So listen, I get questions from people now about when she was a baby. Like, they wanted to know how I measured out her medicine and how I made her bottles and stuff like that. And okay, go ahead and get it, baby. I'm sorry.
Oh,
She's
you're good.
interrupting now. But I got those kind of questions, and it's sometimes when people ask us questions, some of us get exasperated by those questions because in our head
Mhm.
it's simple, because it's something that we just do. We have maternal instincts, and we're gonna, whatever we do, what we have to do. But there are a lot of people who really don't know how we do things, and I think it's very important to tell them so that they don't go making assumptions about us, and instead of asking us the questions, they'll say, oh, you do it this way, and then we get mad because it's like, no,
Right.
or they think that we can't do it.
Right.
So I've had to answer those type of questions. Have you had to answer any questions like that? Like how
In
you
the
change a
past,
diaper and
oh gosh.
how you know when the baby
Um,
is clean?
some of the questions that I have gotten years ago, I look like, huh? I know you didn't really just ask me that. I know they said that no
And what I'm
question is
saying is people really don't know, and you have to
you right.
explain it to people.
And I tell them we do what you do, but we just do it differently.
And
And I
and sometimes we have to do it in excess. Like, I wiped my baby's butt so good you could eat off of it. I'm just saying, like, you, there was nothing on my baby's behind, and I had to feel and make sure that she was clean. But people don't think about that because they're looking. And
right,
they're looking, so they really don't know. So you have to answer. I know, like I said, I know some of us get exasperated by those questions. We get
yeah,
aggravated, and like, it's like, are you stupid or something? But no, they're not. They just, you got to think about it like this. They are not blind, so they don't know how we do things. Like, how do we just use our nose or our hands or our
right,
ears to do things that they use their eyes for? So it's
right.
not that they're stupid questions, it's just these, they don't
So
know.
they're, I mean, they're not stupid questions, but it's just some things I'm just like, okay. But I do remember with my last child, I was at the doctor office with her, and the doctor said, that her bottom, she said she's so clean. She said you won't believe the parents that can see that bring their children in here and their bottoms are dirty. And I'm like, and they're bringing them to the doctor and their bottoms are dirty. Like she said, you won't believe it. I was like, wow. I said, well, I'm not gonna allow my kids to go out here dirty and I'm clean. If I'm clean,
Right.
that's just the way it's gonna be, and that's the way it has been. And then while we were talking, I was letting my baby drink some milk, and she started choking. And so immediately, I started to blow gently into her nose while I was raising her arm. And when I finished, she was like, now, how did you know she was choking? I said, from her breathing. I said, it changed. You know your child. And she said, Marcia, she said, that is amazing. She said, you
I
wouldn't know. parents that wouldn't have known what to do when that baby started choking. I said, well,
I think that us being blind actually makes us better parents. It makes us more alert, more aware of
oh
what's
yeah,
going on with our children.
keep it.
Now, I'm going to tell you, I had this concern and I want to know what you did about this. When my daughter got a little bit older and I knew she was going to get mobile, I'm like, she's going to start crawling soon. And we lived in this big house with my dad. So, of course, I immediately got a baby gate for the steps because I'm like, all I need is for her to fall down the steps. So how did you handle your kids getting mobile and like knowing where they were and everything?
Okay, so now I tried the baby gate, but let me tell you about my daughter now, Miss India. We put the gate up in the kitchen. Now, one side of my kitchen you could use the gate, but the other side, we tried just using the chairs, laying them sideways to keep her, basically just keeping her from going into the refrigerator and taking stuff out. Honey,
Hmm.
we would take her walker, and she would rear that joker back like it was a race car. She would ram the gate down. She would ram the chairs out the way. I was dying laughing. I was like, this girl said, I don't care what you guys do. You're not going to stop me from getting in the kitchen to get to the refrigerator. So that was always funny to me. But to locate my girls, um, I would either put a bell in the middle of their back. So like I would take like a safety pin or something and put it
Hmm.
at their back where they can't reach it. And so while they're running around or crawling or whatever they're doing, I know where they are. Now, once the girls started getting a little bit bigger, I would put the beads in their hair. So as they're walking and running, I know where they are.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And the same thing with my son. When they first started walking, they had back then they had the bells that you could put on their shoelaces. So as they
Right.
walked, it would make a noise. So I had a way of knowing pretty much where they were at all times. So if they were walking or crawling, but now if I had them in like the walker or whatever, then of course I
You
knew.
knew where they are in the
Yeah,
walker.
because it was making
Right.
plenty of noise.
Wait, I'ma hold on just a second.
Okay.
Let me take a little break in there. Okay. So my daughter, first of all, hated her walker. She would not get in that walker. She would stand in front of it and play with the little toys that's on it, but
Mm-hmm.
she did not want to be in that walker. So, but when to be able to hear where she was, I made her a belt with bells on it. She had an ankle bracelet with bells on it, and she had a bracelet for her wrist. She didn't bother it at all. She actually, I think she liked it. I think she liked all the noise. But she got beads in her hair for the first time um a couple weeks ago. They're in there now.
Wow.
And my sister said, no, my nephew said she's not bad enough to have beads in her. That's not the right. He said that's not the right hairstyle for her. She's too sweet to have beads in her hair. But this is and look, she ready for him to come out because she's not used to him.
Right.
But I always knew where she was because she always had bills. When we used to go out in public, people would look at her like, "Oh, that was a good idea. I never thought to put bills on my child." And I'm like, "Well, why would you? You can see her."
Right.
But I made her bracelets and everything, but what was so again acting on instinct. I did that because nobody told me to do that. I
Right.
had I wasn't really involved in a blind community growing up, not much at all. I actually just really got involved a couple of years ago. And so I've been around blind parents, but not talking to them about being blind
Right.
parents. So when I say I was winging it, I mean everything that I did, it was pretty much instinct, or I would Google something or
Mm-hmm.
something like that. And I always thought that I was just completely prepared to be a parent because I've always had children with me, and they would just be with me. I was an auntie and I was a stepmom for a little while. So, but for some reason, when you get your own kid, everything that you know or you think you know just disappears. It's like I was calling my mama like, "Ma, why is she crying like that?"
Oh wow.
I was calling my mom like, how do I even do this? Like, what? How much of this milk am I supposed to put in this bottle?
Oh. Now I didn't have those questions. I did not. It was really instinct for real. I mean, because even when you listen to them cry, their cries are different. They mean.
So let me tell you why I was only one time I called my mom and
Yeah.
asked her about my baby crying. And let me tell you why I called her.
Okay.
Because my baby didn't cry.
Right.
Like, I'm telling you, you know how babies wake you up for that 12, 3 a.m. feeding and stuff like that? I would automatically wake up and I would lean over to check on her, and she'll be in there like smacking and stuff. And I'll be like, listen, you need to cry or say something if you hungry. She didn't cry. So one night she kept screaming, and I'm like, why is this baby crying? And I couldn't find anything wrong with her. I knew she wasn't in pain because it wasn't like a painful cry. My
Right.
mom said sometimes babies just cry, Jen. She said, you have a strange baby. She doesn't cry. Right now, she's just crying. I'm like, well, I want her to stop because I want to go back to play. How do I cut it off?
Oh boy. Yeah.
But now she's older, so everybody was like, well, it's gonna be a little easier when she gets older, but that's not necessarily true because you're dealing with a different type of attitude now.
Well, yeah.
And then my concern, let me ask you this.
Uh-huh.
How are your kids doing with the distance learning?
Oh Lord. Honey. Well, I'm gonna say my 5-year-old did fine. My middle schooler did fine. But my elementary child, oh Lord. We spent a lot of time trying to grasp the concept and getting the work done. Um, that was harder for her. So much work. Whereas India stuff, it was all like audio. Like, I mean, it was video for her, but it was audio for me. So it's like I'm hearing the computer say, press A, she press A. Press B, she press B. How many stars do you see? She count them and press the number. So her work was much easier. But of course, Harmony's work, honey, that cut my behind, okay?
So was your 5-year-old doing kindergarten? She's in kindergarten.
Pre-K. Pre-K. Her birthday, so it throws her behind, but pre-K.
So I have concerns, and this is why I asked you about that, because pre-K was pretty easy for her. Once they were done, they were actually pretty much, once they canceled school, they were pretty much done for pre-K here. They did like once a week little video calls just to check in and see how the kids were doing. And they sent daily lessons through the email, which we didn't even really bother with because they weren't checking them anyway. And everything that they were learning in pre-K, like I said, my daughter already knows it. So
right.
We were working on what we work on usually, which we learn through play, reading books, and we're writing letters and words and stuff like that. I'm concerned about kindergarten though, because kindergarten is more structured learning.
Mm-hmm.
And when I spoke to the principal last week, she was saying that they were trying to get the kids back in school. This week they released like something saying that they're gonna rotate the kids out. So they're gonna go to school 2 days a week, and then they're gonna do the distance learning over the computer. And I'm like really concerned about that because first of all, I am not a teacher.
Right.
And I don't really know how to help her with this because we don't work on the computer because I have JAWS on my computer and I've never worked with her on the computer. So I have like serious concerns about how this is going to work out. I'm forming a relationship with the principal now.
Right.
And as soon as she's going to assign classes at the end of July, and I'm going to form a relationship with the teacher. And that's always worked for me for pre-K.
Oh, yeah.
Having a relationship with the teachers and everything. So when I say I'm concerned, I'm not scared.
Right.
But
You just want your child to excel like the other children in the classroom.
Yes, I don't want her to miss
I've
anything
al-
because her mom is blind.
I've always had a relationship with my children's teachers. I go whatever, to get the schedules or whatever, and I introduce myself to the teachers, letting them understand my condition so that they
Mhm.
and look, I can't see. My children can see, but I can't see. So that they know, look, if I call you or I send you an email, I need a response back because I need to know X, Y, or Z about my child. So that has always worked for me because I want them to see that I'm a concerned parent and I want to see my kids succeed in life. And it
See, we are
starts,
in the same mind with that.
oh yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, because I got it. I mean, I wasn't always blind. So I excelled in the classroom and I want the same for my kids just because
Mhm.
my situation is different, and I have to do things a little bit differently to make sure that they get what they need. That's what I have to do. So
I like it because they do have apps that the teachers use for all of the parents, but
mhm.
also just extra because they send a lot of paperwork home. Excuse me, because they send a lot of paperwork home. I get emails, and I have to sometimes at the very beginning remind them when they're sending things home. I'll send a message like, "Can you please send me this in an email?" so that I can know, what's going on. Or they'll send me a text message, or even her teacher this year called me. She called me in the beginning. She would call me once a week, and then she was like, I don't have to call her once a week because she didn't. But she would call me once a week, like she's doing so good. She was like, "You're
Right.
such a great mom. She's doing so good," and I appreciated that, and they appreciated the fact that I was involved in my child's
Mhm.
education
Yeah.
because, again, the sighted parents weren't that involved in their
Right.
children's education.
I remember
But
the principal
like I
that.
said, us
Right.
being blind makes us
Mhm.
more. I think I'm not going to say that we're better parents, but we are. I think it does make us a little bit more perceptive as far as our children go.
The principal said to me one day, when I was telling him about my daughter, and he was like, Marcia, he said, if we had more sighted parents like you, then these kids would not be the way that they are.
Mhm.
But I mean, every parent does not go that extra mile when it comes to their children, you know? So,
And then some parents are not able because you have working parents. They're not able to like take that time out and go up to the school. They can send messages after school and everything, but they're not able to just like run up to the school for every meeting and everything like that. And that's understandable. But you have to be involved in your child's education some kind of way. You have to show interest
right,
because if you don't show interest, they're going to lose interest and they're not going to do what they need to do in school.
right. Definitely got to stay on them.
And
Definitely.
you have an adult child who made it out.
Yes, yes, yes. And I got 3 to go. So,
You gonna be my go-to girl because
oh,
my
you
kid is getting older, and I'm gonna be calling you like, listen, how did you handle this right here? Oh, and you got girls too, and they're gonna be dating before my. How are you
and you
handling
will be
dating,
calling me
Marcy?
for real. Yeah.
How are
Yeah.
you handling dating?
Yes. Yes. And I got, well, one is 9. So,
Look, you
she's
say
a
you're
little
not
closer
ready.
than the other one that's 5, but you get my drift. But
You're not ready.
I, I'm not ready for them to get to that part of life yet, but I am ready.
Mhm.
Like if which they have asked me the question, like, Mama, when you a junior in high school like I was, can't go on no dates until you graduate because guess what? I'm not being no grandma early. I'm sorry, not
my
me.
um my niece is 9 and she is starting to show signs of puberty. And my sister-in-law is over there like, I can't handle it. I'm not ready for this. And my nephew is 12, so he's already like he's going through puberty now. And she was like, I can't handle this. She's like, Jen, I can't handle it. And she can see.
Right,
She was like,
right.
I'm not
Well,
ready. I can't handle this.
well, my baby boy is going through puberty right now, but my girls, I'm hoping that it doesn't happen until they're like maybe 12, 13, possibly.
Well,
And
good luck with that.
well, I'll keep you posted. But that's kind of like my prayer, okay? Like, I mean, like really.
Say a few more years, please. A
I,
few more
I
years.
need a few more years. I need a few more years for that start. For that part of life starts with them anyway. I need a few more years for real. But
So this is my last question because I know it's late and I gotta let you go. How are your children handling their summer with like not being able to do as much as they're used to doing because of Corona and everything?
they're bored. I mean, I know, I
Oh
know they're
baby.
tired of being in the house, but like I want to go to Chuck. Baby, we're not going to Chuck E. Cheese. I'm sorry, we can't go there.
Chuck E.
I
Cheese is
don't
a
know when
petri dish
we're
when
gonna be
Chuck E.
able
Cheese is a petri dish when Corona was not in effect.
to. Yes, so I mean, it's challenging, but um, their pastime. The girls play, then some, play with each other, and then other times they're on the video game or on the tablet. So that's the best. They're gonna
So the
get it
good
unless they go
thing is
outside.
that the good thing is that your girls have each other to play with. Like my kid
Right,
is over here living that only child life, and I feel
right.
so bad for her. I try to get her around like some kids, but I don't want her around too many people because
Oh,
honestly, she hasn't been sick since school's been out. She got really, really sick um the week before school let out, and she was out of school for that week, and then she went back, and then it was over with. But ever since school's been out, she has not had so much as a runny nose. So when
yeah.
she goes back to school, as soon as her nose starts running, I'm pulling her out, pulling her out.
Oh,
You're
you know
not even
how
going
kids.
to have these problems.
Right.
I want to see how they're gonna do the if they do start school back up, how they're gonna keep these children safe because I can see them like having a desk so far apart and everything for the elementary school children, but pre-K and kindergartners they mostly play. They're learning. The kindergartners are starting to learn how to sit still and learn,
Right.
but their day is mostly play and they're playing with each other. So I don't know how they're gonna keep them apart. That's gonna be like so miserable. I want to see how this is gonna work out, and hopefully they won't get stressed out because children do get stressed out. So hopefully this
Right.
won't stress them out.
I hope not, but it's going to be challenging for the faculty and staff to really try to figure out what's going to work better, especially if they're going to have the children in the classroom with masks on all day. I already know that's not going to work.
Oh
And
no,
so,
them kids gonna take those right up. They're gonna Johnny, put that mask back on. I'm sick of it. I don't want it on. It's gonna be all kind of tantrums.
that's going to be interesting. The teachers are going to leave every day exhausted,
Yeah, and
mentally.
it's gonna take away from their actual education.
Yep.
So, my boss is calling me. I've been in here too long talking. I've been here too long talking. She needs me. So I'm gonna let you go, but I appreciate talking to you. And like I told y'all, me and Marcia could sit up and talk for hours. Y'all get sick of us talking.
Yes.
But I enjoy you every time I talk to you, and I'm gonna call on you again. We're gonna talk about some more stuff.
Awesome.
But until then, let them know. I know you're just getting your page up, but let them know where they can find you on social media.
I'm book Marcia Pack Harton, Instagram, LinkedIn, and my YouTube channel is Simply Marcia. And if you would like to email me, it's simplymarcia98@gmail.com.
So you guys make sure you check her out on all of those venues. You guys know where you found me, and you guys can also find me on Facebook under Jennifer Janelle and on Instagram under Miss Jennifer S. And for those of you who just clicked on a link, you spell my name Jinnerfer. So that's how you will always find me. If you Google it, I'm the only person in the world who spells their name like that, and I love it. So until next time, it was great. I thank you guys for joining me. Until next time, I love you. That was good. I enjoyed talking to you.
I enjoy talking to you too. You